Hey, buddy. Hey, Bill. Can you guys hear me okay? Nathan, what's up, my man? Let me know how the audio and visual is. Everything's good now, Bunny. I had a hot tub out back, and we cleaned it up and filled it up last night, and came out this morning to run it and get some of that bromine working through it. And when we took the cover off the hot tub, we found it was almost completely drained, and found a leak coming from the control unit due to. So I opened it up and found a gasket that was bad. I'm going to try the old blue RTV on it, and I did that, and I'm letting it set up now. So hopefully, once I get it back together, we won't have any more leaks. We're kind of a practical bunch here. We use our hot tub for a hot tub, but in the summertime, we just turn the heat off, and we kind of use it as like a little watering hole in the summer to cool down. Really don't feel like buying a big pool. And I think as anybody that uses StreamYard knows that the chat is a little delayed. Not a little. It's got a pretty good delay, so it takes me a minute to answer your questions. That's why. We get any more people in here, I'll go through a couple of things I wanted to talk about. One being the mbuna, as it said on the thumbnail, and two, over a couple of new projects I did in my fish room. Yeah, I like this mic. This is one of them Rode mics. I got it, and I'm pretty impressed with it. Sounds pretty decent. Kind of. Do you guys hear a lot of ambient noise from my tanks, or does it sound pretty good and clear? Cool, Bunny. Thanks. How much actual facts do you guys know about the mbuna cichlids? How much do you really know about them, other than they're colorful and can be aggressive fish? Yeah, Nathan, on StreamYard, there is I don't know if they call it a green screen, but yeah, I am familiar with green screens. I tried my hand at that once, and if you don't get your camera right, the background looks like crap. You can glitch it, and glitches and it sees. Hey, Tara, thanks for joining. Tara's my sister, if you guys remember. Yeah, Nathan, they can be aggressive. Yeah, certain species more than others, but yes. Like and I did, if you see me looking over here, I did write things down just because if I don't write things down, I forget what I want to say or I miss something. So it's not that I don't know the facts. No, I don't know everything about them, but I want to make sure I wrote everything down so I didn't forget what I wanted to talk about. So, Bunny, zero facts on mbuna. Never had any. Heard they're aggressive and should be kept in large groups. Yeah, Bunny, they are aggressive. They can be. Certain ones are more aggressive than the other, like your Damascens. They can be pretty aggressive. The Damascens are the ones that are like dark blue and have some black stripes on them. I've got a couple of them. I got one Damascens in here. Um, but to be honest with you, I probably got, I think there's 11 mbunas in there. I did have 12. A couple of them did die. One of them I had to take out and put my 125 because he was so docile. Everyone picked on him. They were chewing his tail fins down to a nub, but I got him healed up and he's doing great. And he's in there and he doesn't bother anybody in there. Hold on, I'll be right back. here in a little bit too, I'll also take my second camera over there around the room and show you a couple things I've done in the fish room. Um, for a long while, I got some real big pieces of driftwood from Myrtle Beach Inlet, where a buddy of mine does some fishing, and I just kept them on top of my tank for a while as decoration. Well, this weekend, I recently decided to go ahead and rinse them off and put them in the tank, and they look great. But the one is so buoyant, I cannot get it to drop, obviously, but get saturated with water and sink. But it still looks good the way it is until maybe it decides to. But it's so big, it's got so much surface area. I'd have to find a. I got rocks too, but I got to get some big rocks to weigh them down. Nathan, I just got a creator's kit. It came with a ring light that you put on your camera on the phone and a green screen, and some tripods with remote control and on and off buttons. Yeah, Nathan, they make a lot of cool stuff right now. I do have a lighting kit that I use, but honestly, like the way you see me right now, I haven't had to use those lighting kits in here because I actually look better this way than with those lights. And that's something you got to play with when you get those kits, definitely. And you'll figure that out as you go. And it also depends on what room you're in. But I like to be in this room right here because this is where all my aquariums are. Some people create studios for this stuff and spend a lot of money insulating their walls and those big umbrella lighting and big expensive lighting. I'm not popular enough for that. Ring lights are definitely cool. I actually read up on ring lights. They do cast a decent light, but one of the biggest things is people tend to buy them because they put that ring in your eyeball, apparently. And I'm thinking, to me, that's who cares if there's a ring in your eyeball? But yeah, awesome gift, man. I had to buy my own stuff. Lucky duck. So where I live, I get a lot of I live in kind of like a military town. Fort Bragg is right behind my house in North Carolina. And so a lot of these guys, they get houses, buy houses in this plan, and then they decide they got to leave because, well, not decide they got to leave. They got to move out because they're getting their orders to be stationed somewhere else. So a lot of these people, believe it or not, set up fish tanks, and then they need to get rid of them. They're either selling them cheap or free, and I've got 75 gallon for free that way, a 55 gallon free that way, and most recently I was driving home and found one of them brand new. This will be the third one of these. One of those Aqueon 10-gallon tanks that have the black silicone from PetSmart. And it was on the side of the road with glass top, so I picked that up and brought it home and disinfected it. I like to disinfect with a little peroxide and water mix. And then I clean it up and dry it out. And I just set that tank up today. Of course, it's cycled because I put established media in it. That's an Insta-cycle. You guys all know that. And it'll be ready to go for some fish. But I packed it with some pretty cool plants. Some of your basic plants. I got some Asian water ferns. I got some Java fern in there. And I'll show you that tank. It's a little cloudy right now. Hey, Sketty. Thanks for coming in. Dusty does his practically in the dark. Yeah. I find this lighting to be just fine with it's coming through the windows. So no sense in setting up lights. But I do have them if I need them sometimes. I've used them. Sketty, yeah, hope, Sketty not feeling good. I hope you get better. Well, yeah, Tara, they're not buying the houses. They are renting them. Most of them rent them. But what makes no sense to me is if you're going to buy a fish tank and set a fish tank up when, at any time you were in the military 10 years, at any time they might say, hey, we need you over here. Well, a fish tank is something that you just can't leave. It needs your basic water changes and things like that. So, but hey, it's a win for me. But talking about mbunas, one of the interesting things through reading what I found out was, all your cichlids come from Lake Malawi in Africa, right? Well, there's a few different lakes, but Lake Malawi is the one where the mbunas come from. And I didn't. A lot of people thought that lake's been around for like 1.8 million years or something like that. But I come to find out it's actually only been around for like 600,000 years. I shouldn't say only, because 600,000 years is a long time in our book. But in that lake alone, it holds over 700 species of cichlids, and it actually holds most of the cichlids in that lake alone. And I like this. I wrote this down. It's 360 miles long and it's 47 miles wide. I think we all know how to pronounce mbuna properly. Mbuna. And of course, the mbuna is a rock dweller, so they hang out by the shores next to the rock. And they like to eat algae off the rocks. They're mainly herbivores. They are considered omnivores too at times, because they will go to the surface and eat some insects that might drop in. But they are mostly eat veggies. So you got to feed them a good, like, spirulina flakes. Black fly soldier larva is a good food for them. But yeah, I like to put in a lot of spirulina flakes. I use the Extreme Aquatics Community Crave mix for them, and their nice version with the pellets. And then I just give them a lot of spirulina, and the coloration and the growth in them has been awesome. Let's see here. And your mbunas don't get very big, which is a lot of the reasons why I like the mbuna, because it's, as opposed to your haps, your peacocks and haps, the mbunas, they get up from 2.5 inches up to 6 inches. So your max mbuna is going to be like 6 inches long, which is awesome for a smaller setup. They'd be great in a 125-gallon tank. I mean, you can put them in any tank. Of course, the bigger tank you have, the more you can put in there. But yeah. And there's some caveats to the stocking, like you were discussing. It was Nathan that said earlier about putting a lot together to reduce aggression. That is correct, but there are a couple different ways you can do that. You can overstock like that to reduce aggression, or you can put one male with 3 females together. And obviously, that ratio you're going to want to bring up the more you want to put in. So 3 females, 1 male, 6 females, 2 males type of thing to help reduce aggression. But there's also an mbuna that is a little bit more aggressive towards females. And I'll mention that here shortly. But when you get mbunas and you bring them home, I got mine in a 75-gallon tank, and I got 11 in there. And I really haven't had a lot of issues. And I think it's because I got a lot of Texas holy rock in there. They all have their own little space that they can call their own. And it breaks up their line of sight. And I always have a power head running in there. That gives them something to do to kind of like, distract them from chasing each other. And of course, the more you can put in there, the better as well. And they do like a pH from 7.8 to 8.0. Right now, my pH is around 7.8. Honestly, that's something that, you can use your better judgment on. The fish that we get now are the furthest thing from wild caught. They have never been in their native waters. They were born and raised in farms in probably a neutral pH with a variance between that, just like our tanks. But, you can either mess with pH or don't. I personally don't like to mess with my pH. I think causes more harm than good. All my other tanks, I don't mess with my pH. They've adapted. They're fine. They're good. With mbunas, you can do the same thing. But I did raise my pH. I did it naturally using crushed coral. And I did get it up to about 7.8. Last I checked, it's about 7.8 pH. And I do use cichlid lake salt in there. If you talk to Kev over at Caveman Aquatics, he'll tell you, yes, he understands that mentality of it, but also you can't change million years of genetics. So he believes it's in their genetics. So he adjusts his pH for all his cichlids, which nothing wrong with that. And if it works, whatever works for you and what you want to do. But I do fully believe you can do it without messing with pH. Actually, it matters, like I said earlier, the less you mess with pH, the better, in my opinion. But I gave it a go. I got it raised up. It raised naturally and slowly. They're safe. They're happy. They're growing. They're colorful. And yeah, I don't have too much aggression in my tanks. When you have if you decide to get, and this goes for any cichlid, but of course we're talking about mbunas. So when you have an mbuna tank and you're going to start off with like 6 of them, okay? Wait a couple weeks to add another group of 6. You always want to introduce them in groups of 5 or 6. You do not want to put 1 or 2 in there because they will get singled out and bullied probably to death. So the more you add at one time, the better, because it kind of spreads that aggression out, and not any one in higher up in the hierarchy. There's too much going on. There's too many new guys. So not one single cichlid is going to get picked on. So always add at least 5 or 6 at one time when you're adding new fish to your already established tank. And like I said earlier, I said I'd come back to this, Nathan. There's 2 ways you can keep them. Keep them in a single species in a rocky tank. You can, like I said, 1 male to 3 females, or like you said, overstock the tank. And I do like you. I overstock it. He says, I'm pretty cool, Bunny. I like the remote. Yeah, Nathan, sounds like you got a cool setup, man. I'm going to get over your page, Nathan, to make sure I got the bell clicked for you, because I'm curious to see what your setup looks like when you go live. When are you planning on going live next, Nathan? Bunny says, I never was trying to alter my water. I try to fit the fish to my own water conditions. Mainly, we have found that have some wiggle room. Bunny, I agree. That's basically what I do too, like I was saying. They get used to it. As long as the dang tank is cycled and you got it within a good temperature. And that's another thing I've been playing with. I've been trying to get away from using heaters if I can to save on the electric bill. I got 2 10-gallon quarantine tanks down below here. And I have them sitting on foam. I got to keep them up off the floor here because, like I said, I'm in kind of like a military town. And they're always setting off mortars and boomers and shit, and it shakes the house. So I'm trying to keep that vibration down. And I set those tanks up, and the water was too warm, and now they're sitting at like 83 degrees, and I can't get them to cool down. Yeah, Bunny, I'm gonna do this. I'm trying to see if I can do the same. One thing I didn't think of that I read about the mbunas, which I think was awesome, and I should have thought about it before. Just like a cat, if you guys have cats, a lot of times, not every cat, like I said, not every fish is the same, not every environment's the same, so every fish has its own personality. But one thing it mentioned was, if you're going to keep mbunas, they're rock dwellers, right? So they like to be in rocks. What you want to try to do is definitely have enough caves and that they can call their own, but never have an actual cave. Don't have one entrance in and one entrance out. That is leading to a recipe for disaster too. So make sure that any caves you have set up, any rocks you have set up, they can get in and out in different ways. That way, if you do have an intruder, this reduces the intruder aggression. So if one comes into his house, he can bug out the back door, so to speak. And why I said cats are that way. Cats are always in any animals. They always want to know that there is another way out. And like most fish, they like temperatures anywhere from 75, 80 degrees. And going back to what we said about introducing new fish, the fish that are the cichlids that's already been in your tank, they've already established that hierarchy. So those fish are always going to have the upper hand to new ones until that hierarchy gets reestablished. But the ones that were already in, they're always going to have the upper hand. They're the bosses. So, but there's a lot of ways to reduce this, aggression, like I've already talked about 3 or 4 of those examples. Nathan, I've never done a live. I have to now, though I'm nervous. I have said before, if I get 100 subs, I'll do it, but May do it as a good handful of y'all always show love. Oh yeah, Nathan, man. I'm a little different that way. I've never been nervous to get in front of people and talk. I enjoy it. I actually wish I could get a little bit more people in my lives than I do, but that's partially my fault. I need to make my lives a little bit more interesting. This is one thing I'm going to start doing. I'm going to pick a fish and start doing like a facts about different fish. I know. And listen, there's so many fish tubers out there and so many people that do lives all the time. Anything you think about is probably not going to be unique. It's already been done. You know what I mean? This has been around for a while. So all you can do is kind of try to, make it your own the best way you can and make it interesting and funny. And it's hard to please everybody, especially us. We're at the bottom of the totem pole, but I don't think most of us care. A lot of these guys just get on and have fun and love chatting with you guys. And I by far enjoy getting on all of our all of us low guys' lives than the big guys, because one, they have so many people in their lives that you barely get your questions answered. You really lose out on a lot of that personability aspect in the big lives. So I really enjoy all of ours. Nathan, you'll definitely get people coming in, and you just got to think about how you want to set it up and do it, and what you want to talk about. And some guys just get on there and have a camera on their tanks and don't even talk, and they just type, teach their own, whatever you like to do. Yeah, Bunny, you got it. I would too. I gotta make sure I got his bell clicked on his channel so I know if he does a live, it'll come up. Another thing to watch out with in mbunas and any of these cichlids from Lake Malawi is the Malawi bloat. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that, but if you feed them too much protein, like bloodworms and shrimp, anything that's too high in protein, if you give them a little too much protein, they're going to get what's called the Malawi bloat. And actually, to this day, they have no idea what causes Malawi bloat in the cichlids. They don't know what causes it. But 9 times out of 10, when they get it, they're probably going to be done. I don't think I have ever been able to cure bloat yet in a fish. And I don't mess around about it. I use the med trio. I've tried 2 different med trios, and I've tried salt, and I've tried them all together. It just seems like when they get bloat, they're probably going to be done. So definitely I don't even feed them bloodworms anymore. I just mainly, they love algae waivers. They do like Extreme Aquatics cat scrapers a lot. They tear them up. And Omega-1 sells 3 different types of seaweed. They love that. I got the little clips you put in the tank, and they love that seaweed. There's a purple one, a green one, and a red one, and I've got the green ones right now, and they definitely like it. So I'm going to get into the different types of cichlids. The main type of cichlids that mbunas that are out there. Of course, we all know the yellow lab, right? I think we all are familiar with the yellow lab. John over at KG Tropicals has a big tank full of them, which I love that scape he did in it with all those rocks. Some people like to put the yellow and the blue ones together. They make a nice coloration. It is a beautiful looking tank. Nathan says, I don't know if you watch Dan's fish, but I love that he does. Now, yes, Nathan, I do watch Dan. You're talking about everyday fish keeping. I like him a lot. He works in his tanks. You get to see all of his tanks, and then he stops and he gets caught up on chat, but he never misses anybody's questions. He's very knowledgeable. He knows what he's talking about. I like Dan a lot. He's one of my top 3 favorites. Nathan, I can send you a link right now. I would need an email from you. Let me see. Nathan, if you're interested, we can try and bring you in mine right now if you'd like. I'm not sure how to do that. I know that I would need, if you can give me your email somehow, I can send you a link through email, and then all you have to do is click it, and it brings you right in, man. Bill says, I don't know what happened with the thunderstorm. Lightning, my yellow labs went crazy and I lost 5 of them. I had them 2 years. They killed each other. They killed each other. I split the rest up. I don't know what happened with thunderstorm. Lighting my yellow labs went crazy and lost 5 of them. Bill, it sounds like they were stressed out, man. Are you saying when you had the nasty thunderstorm that went through, that with all the thunder and lightning, it was scaring them? Is that what you're saying? Okay, Nathan, maybe next time, man. Just let me know. If you look on my channel, Nathan, I have my personal email. Well, it's not a personal email. It's a channel email. If you want to, if you look at the about info, if you want to email me through there, and then I'll have your email. And anytime you want to jump in, just let me know. I can send you the link. But if that's what you're talking about, yeah, Bill, okay, that's an easy one, man. That was stress. They were just scared and stressed out. Stress, in my opinion, is the number one killer of fish. Number one killer of fish is stress right there. And then they start getting mad and scared and going nuts and picking on each other and stressing everybody out. And it turns into one big stress ball. The only thing I could tell you to help eliminate that is do you keep some kind of a stress guard on hand? Like I have CChem stress guard. API makes the stress coat. Even aquarium salt, you can sprinkle aquarium salt in your tanks to help reduce stress. Did you try putting some in the tank, Bill? Thank you, Bunny. Yeah, get that. There's my link right there, Nathan. Check my email out, and I believe it's on there. And then just send me an email, and I'll send you a link whenever you want to get on. And any of these guys will do the same thing for you. But getting back to the different types of mbunas, you got the yellow labs. I'm terrible with the actual names of these fish, but the yellow labs are called libido chromis. These are the least aggressive of all the mbunas. And the yellow, there's a few different ones. There's blue, whites, and yellows, and the yellow actually being the most rare. I'm looking at mine right now, and he's gotten fairly large, so he's going to get on the bigger end of the cichlids. He's probably approaching 5 inches, or not, if he's not at 5 inches already. And I really enjoy the yellow labs. And one thing you can tell about the yellow lab is he has kind of like an aerodynamic slant in his forehead. And that's how you can tell. Well, I'll get into that. I don't want to get ahead, put the cart before the horse. But so you got the yellow lab, Libidochromis, and another type is called the Tropheus. The Tropheus is good for a mixed tank. They're mild-mannered, and they have a distinct sloped head, but they can be quite, these are the ones I was talking about earlier, they can be quite aggressive to other females. So you're going to want to keep at least 5 females or more with one of these Tropheus mbuna cichlids. And then you have the Damascens. I have one of those in here, and I heard they were aggressive before I ever bought them. But I went ahead and put them in there, and I got to tell you, and every tank is different. What's not going to work for me isn't going to work for you. And I haven't really seen him being that aggressive towards any of my other mbunas. Of course, they are mbunas, and you do get chasing around, and I did have a bullying issue once, but I fixed that by removing it. All right, Nathan, see you later, man. Thanks for stopping by. So you have the Damascens, or the scientific name for them is called, and this is another reason why I wrote all this stuff down, because I can't remember these, nor can I pronounce them correctly, but they break them down for you. It's called Chindon, so it's pronounced Shindongo. That's their scientific name for the Damascens. They are the smallest ones available. They get to 3 inches. They have electric blue with the navy stripes, and they're the most aggressive and territorial of the mbunas. That's the Damascens. So if you don't want to keep them as a species only and you do want to mix them into a tank where you're going to have multiple different mbunas, you're going to want to put them with larger, more robust cichlids, more robust mbunas. This fish also went out and they tend to hug the rocks tighter than any other mbunas, and you will often see them. And this was interesting when I read it. You'll often see them swimming on their side or inverted, like a tiger barb sleeps like that. And I'm finding that to be true because he spends a lot of time. I have a Fluval 306 running this tank along with an AC 110, and I find him a lot of times hanging out like that behind the inlet of that Fluval 306. At first, I thought there was something wrong with him, but nope. As I read and I've been doing research, and I have been reading and researching the hobby a lot more. And the way I'm doing that is, I don't know if you guys ever heard of the magazine. I forgot the name of the magazine, but hold on one second. These magazines are great. They're filled with tons of information. Let me be right back. Let me grab that. Sorry about that. Yeah, Practical Fish Keeping Magazine. If you guys can get a hold of that magazine and do a subscription or whatever, I'm not doing a subscription for it, but really cool magazine packed with information about every fish you could imagine, and it goes into products, equipment, and a lot of various different things. So if you want to learn about every fish possible that we would ever keep, I recommend the Practical Fish Keeping Magazine. This is where I got all this information. Bunny says, so the Damascens, actually, it's Damascens. Damascens might enjoy shells in the rocks. Yes, Bunny, they will. They will. Absolutely. And just in my personal experience with the Texas Holy Rock I have set up, they love hanging up underneath, because these guys are sand diggers. They're going to make some elaborate homes. If you look back through my channel, you'll see any of my mbuna tanks. If you go to any of my shorts or any of my videos I put out, they make some really cool elaborate houses digging that sand up. And I'll show you, they got all that sand dug up down to the glass, and it's all pushed forward to the front of the tank. And they make some really cool, nice homes underneath there. And then they get up under the rock and they hang up like this. And I've seen them on their sides. They're really cool. Damascens with an S on the end, Bunny. Yep. I thought it was Damasceni, and I think some people do call it Damasceni, but it's Damascens. And of course, they all have really good colorations. They're really pretty. Closest thing to saltwater fish we're going to get, that and discus. I'd love to have a discus tank, but one, them fish are ridiculously expensive, and I'm not so worried about them being sensitive. I think I can handle that. Mexicali, thanks for coming in, sir. So the next mbuna I want to go on to, and I know you guys probably seen or heard of them, but they're called the golden mbuna, or I've seen them when you go into the pet store. It says Aratus, but they call them the golden mbuna, or this is a tough one. I had to write this bad boy down. Melanochromis. Melanochromis is how you pronounce the actual scientific name of that mbuna. They are aggressive. They're usually yellow with white and black stripes. And another cool fact about the golden mbuna is they were one of the first mbunas that were first collected from Lake Malawi to get into the aquarium hobby. So when you guys are sending this on my laptop, Bill, this is what I'm seeing. That's what it literally spells out. I'm assuming you're sending an emoji with the pink hand waving. That's what I get. I put it up on the screen. But the Aratus is a less aggressive mbuna, and I did have an Aratus for a long while, and he was golden. He had the black horizontal stripes going down him, and he did end up dying. That was one of the ones that died on me. But he was one of the less aggressive ones. And I want to get another one because I really enjoyed them. But at this point, when I get them now, I'll have to put them in a grow out tank, which is something you might want to consider if you're going to consider keeping cichlids and mbunas, and you're going to introduce, like we said, 5 or 6 at a time. You don't want to do 1 or 2 at a time. It's very smart to have a grow out tank for them. So at that time, you can go through your quarantine process. But at the same time, once that's done, you may want to leave them in that tank if it's cycled and let them grow out a little bit and get bigger so they can handle their own when they go into the display tank. So the Aratus is less aggressive when there are females around, but they are still an aggressive fish. This is one I haven't seen. The Salients. I've heard of it, but how you say it is similar to the Damascens, but it's a little bit different. Shindongo, Salosi. That's what it is. And their scientific name, get ready for this one, is Kindongo salosi. And that's one thing about this magazine that I like. They break down these scientific names so you can say it. Kindongo salosi. And they're born bright yellow but change to blue, and they mature. They get up to from 3 inches up to 5 inches. The last one that I have and that I seen was what's called and this one has a really cool name. And to say it, it's Trewavase. Trewavase. What's interesting about this one is their mouths are angled down so that they can get algae growing on the shallow rocks of the shoreline. So, which makes them unique because they can hold their own. And usually, right there, they're good for turbulent water, still water, whatever tank you'd want to set up with these guys. They're going to adapt to it. They're really cool, and their mouths are angled downward so they can get the algae growing on the shallow shorelines, which allow to hold their positions longer. Like if you got a lot of turbulence, they can hold their positions longer to get their algae. They're very unique that way. There's no other mbuna that can do that. And they are the largest. They can get up to 6.5 inches. Now, that's what I've researched. Of course, I didn't write down everything. I didn't read everything. I read the entire article about them. But getting to my own experience, like we were discussing earlier about the pH, I really don't think that you need to adjust the pH. But if you want to, there's nothing wrong with that, because I would imagine it is in their genetics to, be living in a certain water parameters, and pH is certainly important. It's important enough that I realize I don't like to adjust it. But I did go ahead because I want to have the experience of it. I want to learn different things in this hobby, and I cannot sit here and say that you don't need to do something like that if I've never tried it both ways. So I like to try things both ways, get the experience to see for myself. I'm going to get on here and talk to you guys about facts about fish. I want to make sure I know my stuff. My dogs are going to be barking because we got pizza delivered. But let me grab the camera, and I want to take you around to a couple things I've done recently. All right, can you guys hear me okay? Switch over to this phone here. So as you can see here, do you see this big piece of driftwood I stuck in this 75-gallon parrot tank? This was on top of the tank, on top of my mbuna tank. And the pleco absolutely is in love with this. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay on this. Right now, it's kind of floating its max. Relax. And it pokes out of the top. Over here, okay, thank you, Bunny. Over here, I put a video out. I don't know if you guys saw it, but all this Texas Holy Rock was just covered in algae, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's good for the tanks, and the mbunas like it, because mbunas, like we were talking about earlier,
eat algae and veggies, and they love biofilm, and all that was on top of these, but it looked dingy and ugly, and I wanted to get it back to the way it was the day I set it up for, to a certain point. If it looks nice, new and clean versus dingy, and what you want to call dirty is a much healthier tank because it's got a lot of um, bacteria and um, stuff living on it to make your tank strong. But as you can see, what I did is I took one Texas Holy Rock chunk out at a time, and I put it over there with the pleco in the parrot tank. When he was done cleaning it, I put it back in. And as you can see, if you can check my shorts out, and you'll see a comparison video. You can see how much better they look again. But yet they still have algae on them. And this way, I wasn't taking them out and scrubbing them and drying them out and losing bacteria. I fed my pleco. I got it clean. I only work I had to do was transferring them from one tank to the other. Bill says I never tried to change the pH. The last time was 40 years ago. Yeah, Bill, I agree, man. Well, I don't like adjusting it. I like to leave it be. But like I said, I do want to have some experience in doing it, and I do it naturally with crushed coral and slow but sure. And then I put my crushed coral in media bags, like you can see here in this one back here. That way, I don't use crushed coral as a substrate. I put it in media bags, and then I don't even place it in my filter, because when you put crushed coral in a filter, it's going to deplete faster because you got water flowing through it. If you use it as a substrate, like your sand, right, it'll last longer. But when it's exhausted, you either got to put more on top or you got to change it. So I come up with the idea of just putting it in media bags, setting it behind decor, and when they're exhausted, I pull them out and I put more in. You're done. I will say, crushed coral puts out a big plume of white, like dust or whatever you want to call it in your tank, but don't worry about that because it clears out really fast too. So that's one thing I did during the week. There's a Demason. Is that the Demasons? Well, here's an ACI. He's really cool. I like him a lot. I think that's the Demasons back there. You can see him. He's blue with the black stripe. I can call him lips too because he has like these white lips. I don't know how well you guys can see him. Bunny, that's just comes down to checking your pH. Right now, it's holding at 7.8, but I check my water parameters weekly. And when your pH starts dropping, you're going to know your crushed coral isn't doing your job anymore. And that's when you want to go ahead and change it out. That's really the only way you can figure that out. Bill says I'm slowly changing my tanks over to all natural with plants and substrate. Bill, that's what I do, man. I'm not a fan of the fake decoration with the fake plants. I love all natural. Pack it with plants, driftwood, and rocks, baby. This here's my bumblebee cichlid. He's in the hole right now. He's lost his color a little bit because I'm walking around the tank with the camera. He's a nice yellow color, and those black stripes come back banging when he's back to normal and relaxed. What kind of substrate? I converted all mine. You know, okay, you're talking to Bill. Yeah, there's the Demasons back there, and I can't remember the name of that one beside him. So this is that 10-gallon I was telling you about earlier that I got free on the side of the road, and I set it up. It's a little cloudy right now, but that'll clear up. And as you can see here, I've got 2 Asian ferns in here, and I have 2 Java ferns in here. If I want to, I can put water Sprite in. Stuck them into some dragon stone to hold them down. I don't do the glue thing. It's one reason why I like things like Texas Holy Rock and dragon stone. They got a little holes you can stick plants in. You don't even need to tie them down or glue them. Holds on to them. But this is packed. This is going to be packed full of plants, and I'm just going to put some small fish in here. The reason why I set this one up along with this 29-gallon dirted tank, which this is my first dirted tank I ever set up. I've got the organic soil in here topped with sand, and I'm just using this to grow plants. And as you can see, if you checked out any of my last videos, this jungle vow has grown in size substantially, and this is all due to the substrate the organic soil I have in here, because at the moment I don't have fish in here yet, and I don't even dose with liquid fertilizers, and it's coming along great. And actually, you can see that runner going over, and it's grown these two guys here. So I'm really excited because I love jungle val, and I'm really excited about having more of it. Bill Myers says fluorite substrate and flourish tabs for plants. I put sand over it. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, Bill. That sounds good, man. To each their own. I've never been a fan of mixing gravel with sand, but Ben Ochart does that, and I have seen it, and it looks nice. If you want to save some money, Bill, you can go get actual soil from like Lowe's or Home Depot, but you just have to make sure it's organic, and you are going to grow hella plants with this too, and it's a lot cheaper than buying your fluval stratum and fluorite and tabs. You do it any way you want. This is my first time doing this, so I can't tell you any other way, but I can say in the couple of weeks, there's a few weeks this tank's been running, my plants are already taking off. These Amazon swords here were on their deathbed, right? But as you can see, I've got new growth, and they're coming back great. And like I said, that jungle val has ran runners over here and is growing 2 more plants, and everything's looking real good. That's an Anubias. Anubias is something you kind of want to stick to a rock or driftwood, but I stuck it down in the soil, and as you can see in the middle there, I got new growth coming from that too. But anyways, in this 29-gallon tank and that 10-gallon I set up, is what I'm trying to do is shut down this 55-gallon community tank I have, because working in this tank down here on the next to the floor sucks. It's terrible. I can barely reach the bottom with my fingertips. This stand was never designed to have this in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this tank down, and I'm going to move all the little fish I have in here in that 10-gallon and that 29-gallon. Right? And then I'm going to use this 55-gallon as a quarantine tank for larger fish if I need to. So I'll have a spare tank, a bigger spare tank to put a fish in for whatever might happen, an emergency. Maybe I got a tank that, God forbid, would spring a leak and I had to do something with. I'll have this tank available for that. Hey, Silver Creek, thanks for coming in, my friend. I don't know if you saw what I was talking about. Here's a plant guy. I don't know if this is my first 29-gallon dirty tank, Silver, and I was just talking about how I put the organic soil in like your father fish and capped it with sand, and this jungle val is already growing really good and made runners to 2 more plants. But I got to get the fish in here too. Now, another thing I did, because I had 3 pieces of them bigger driftwood, I went ahead and put one in my Oscar tank. It's sticking out at the top here, as you can see. And it goes down into the tank all the way across. And the Oscars are certainly enjoying having something new in the tank to play with. Maybe they'll play with this driftwood instead of my dang heaters. Yes, Silverman, hope it works out good. Anybody has any questions about plants, Silver's the guy. I'm trying to grow my own because it's water sprite. I want to get more of this jungle val here. But yeah, and this driftwood came from Myrtle Beach at the inlet where my buddy fishes. I got that piece. And I got this big piece in here, like I showed you earlier. This one is hard to sink. And then I still have this piece up on top of my Oscar tank. I'm going to put in one of these tanks here. Yeah, root tabs work, Bill, for sure. I used to use Seachem's Flourish, but I kind of got away from that.
Everybody hear me still? I swapped back to the laptop. Hey, Nana, thanks for joining. So that was my rant on mbunas. Not a rant, just some little information, little educational things. I've been doing a lot more research in different aspects of the hobby and on fish, and really learning a lot and really enjoying it. Like I said, I recommend Practical Fish Keeping Magazine if you guys ever want to learn a lot about different things, and rather than trying to find a book and read it, that magazine's fantastic. I almost went with Tropical Fish Magazine, but I couldn't get that online that I could read off my iPad. So uh, I found this magazine, and I'm as equally impressed with it. Look at that silver fox, my fancy goldfish swimming around over there. He is fun. I don't care who you are. Goldfish are fantastic fish, and they're actually quite amazing. I learned a lot from about goldfish in personal experience, but also Dan over at Everyday Fish Keeping forwarded me to an article about them. Goldfish are actually their tanks. I experienced how resilient they are from a personal experience I had. But then when I read that article, well, it's not an article, it's a video link he sent me. I watched that and I didn't realize half the stuff they could do. They are amazing. Oh, cool, Bill. Bill, I can take you around the room real quick and show you all my tanks. I've got how I got everything set up if you'd like. Yeah, my wife is Salient Feathers, and her favorite fish is goldfish. They have fantastic. Well, right there, I got an Ascara angelfish looking at us right now. And in my personal experience, out of all the angelfish, that black one right there with the red eyes, the Ascaras, are by far are the most aggressive. Now you can see my big pleco there. He is now officially over a foot. All right, Bill, I'll take you around the room real quick and look at all the tanks. One thing I wanted to touch on is I was looking through the Facebook market site recently, and if I'm going to get another tank, I want it to be a big one. If I get another tank, it's going to be the last tank. Right now, I'm running 11. I really wouldn't personally want too many more than that. But if I do going to get another tank, it's going to be a big one. Well, I found a 1,000-gallon tank 3 hours away from me. The drive don't bother me. I drive 4 to 5 hours for a tank that big for a good deal or free. Well, you talk about a good deal. He had it listed for $1,500. Now, it's not exactly 1,000. It's 8 foot long by 4 foot deep by 4 foot tall. That's roughly around 960 some gallons, but we're splitting hairs at that point. 960 gallons is a big tank. Of course, when it comes to tops canopies for a tank that big, you're going to have to get into maybe that corrugated roofing like Ben Ochart uses, or cut you some plexiglass, because trying to make glass tops, because I'm a big fan of glass tops, that's on all my tanks, would be expensive or hard to find if they make them. But 1,000-gallon tank, he had it posted for $1,500. So I messaged him, because you never know. And I said, man, if you ever, I said, I can't drop $1,500 on a tank, plus you're 3 hours away from me. I said, the drive don't bother me, but $1,500 is a lot of money to spend on a tank that big. But we all know at $1,500 for a 1,000-gallon tank is a steal. I said to him, if you ever feel you just need to get rid of it and it's not selling, call me up. I'll come get it, basically for free if you want to get rid of it. If you ever hit screw it, I need to get rid of it, type of thing. Well, he messaged me back and said, "Would you do 800?" Man, I want that tank bad. $800. I'd have to drive 3 hours for it. I'd have to make a stand for it. I want to go get that tank, but my wife won't let me, so maybe you guys can help me. Yes, Silver. I said that earlier in a live yesterday, and somebody said that ain't an aquarium. That's a pool. Silver says I just got back from going back. A storm started to hit, so I'm getting stuff up. I'm down for fertilizer tabs. Sometimes you need an extra kick. Yeah, I got you on that. Well, I hope you get everything tied down, Silver. All right, Bill, let me take you around to the tanks real quick, man. All right, Bill, I'm going to take you around the room like I do my maintenance. Always start left to right and go around the room, right? So this is a 20-gallon long, and it has 2 female betas in it. A lot of water sprite. They love the water sprite. You can never go wrong with water sprite. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure water sprite is why my planet, a lot of fish I had went ahead and gave birth, and then they stay up in that water sprite, the baby fry, and they feel safe, and they are protected a little bit. They feel comfortable in there. Yeah, Bill, I agree. This is my 55-gallon tiger barb tank. Tiger barb is one of my favorite fish. This is a fish that I'm always going to have around. Their colors are really good. They're getting bigger and bigger. They can get up to 2.5 inches. Got the red ones here, a couple red ones, the rest of your regular tiger barbs, but they got that awesome, like orangish, reddish fin, and they're doing really good. And I contribute discoloration and growth and hardiness to the extreme aquatics food. Down here, there's a bristlenose pleco. That's his favorite spot. That's the 55-gallon tiger barb tank. Down below, I already showed you my 29-gallon dirty tank. I got to put some, fish in there. And coming to the right around the room is another 20-gallon long that I put the Life with Pets tank divider in. And this is a male half moon beta with some cherry shrimp. And on the other side is a mustard gas male beta. He's got some cherry shrimp too. And the only one I've seen try to eat my shrimp and successfully do it maybe twice is this guy here. Keeping on going around the room, this is my blood parrot tank with a common pleco in here. Super colorful. As you can see, these guys are almost glowing. Everybody can still hear me, right? This fish right here is probably my wife's second favorite fish because their personalities are fantastic. They'll chase, the one will chase my algae scraper, my python when it's in there. He's got some attitude. But every time I do a water change now, they pout and go hide behind that Amazon sword. Hey, Craigs. Good to see you, sir. And I showed you before down here is my 55-gallon community tank. There's just a lot of small fish in here. Neon tetras, longfin reds, ember tetras, rose barbs, rasboras. I got a zebra danio in here. I'm going to move these guys to the smaller tank so I can drain this tank and have it as an emergency tank for larger fish. And keep it on going. You've seen this one earlier. This is my 75-gallon mbuna tank.
They're all hiding right now because I'm walking around with a camera. If I didn't have this camera, they'd be coming out to see me. Hey, Griffin, thanks for coming. And this is the new, I think Silver will like this one. This is the new 10-gallon I got for free. I packed with plants just today. So I got some Asian water ferns in here and some Java ferns. I've never had a lot of luck with Java ferns, but we're going to try with these ones. These are the biggest ones I've ever gotten. So we'll see how it goes. And then this is my 125-gallon community tank, which has got, I got 4 or 5 angelfish in here. These glow tetras I got for free. They were a rescue. Here's my Pictus catfish. I call them my race cars. This is an old Corey cat. I don't know how much more time he got. Go kicking. Goes my race cars. I don't know about you guys, but I like Pictus catfish. They're really pretty and they zoom around the tank. We got some black skirt tetras in here. There's another glow tetra I rescued. Down here is the mbuna I told you I had to take out because he was getting bullied. And he went ahead and made himself some nice caves. Looks like he had a cave in there and had to make a new one. But he's really cool and he don't bother nobody in this tank. Back there you can see a black lace angel and a zebra angel, and there's another zebra angel behind that one. I'm a big fan of the angelfish. Black lace came up to see me. Can everybody see and hear me okay? Silver fox is zooming around. Ain't scared of shit, just bumbles around the tank. Those are the black Ascara angelfish. These guys think I'm going to feed them. And I created this mountain here of stuff. Looks better, but I'm not happy with this tank. I'm probably going to rescape it. I need some plants, Silver Fox. You know anybody, or Silver Creek Aquatics, you know anyone that sells plants? That's my biggest pleco. And keeping on going around the room, this is my 125-gallon Oscar tank. Oscars are one of my favorites. This big guy here, the boss of the tank, is Milo. And that guy is Otis, the albino. Look at him poking at jaw. He's ready for some shrimp. Certainly really love the Oscars. And they got great color going on. This guy here has the most attitude out of the two. He'll come after my arm sometimes. I'll catch him spitting the sand at himself in his own reflection too. But that's an Oscar thing. Yeah, Bill, do you like angelfish? Here's that black lace again. These black scars got pretty big. There's a blue dwarf gourami in here. I've had 4 of these. He's the last one left. Powder blue dwarf gouramis. Now here's my quarantine setup. I got 2 10-gallon tanks. This is where I put all my new and or sick fish. But those are 10-gallon tanks, which is okay for most of the fish that I keep. But obviously, if you have a bigger goldfish or, even a parrot cichlid, blood parrot or a pleco or an Oscar, I'm going to need a bigger tank for quarantine, and a 55-gallon tank temporarily for that would be perfect. But that's it.
But that's it for right now. I was glad to go through some mbuna facts with you guys, and I'm always reading and always learning about this hobby, and I'm certainly enjoying learning about it. Um, so as time goes on, I'm going to gain even more and more knowledge, both from personal experience and research. Never stop learning. Always don't be afraid to take some time instead of buzzing through YouTube. Maybe check that practical fish keeping out and learn some stuff. It's really helpful. Awesome magazine. Thanks, Bunny. Thank you, Bill. But yeah, going forward, I'm going to figure out how to restructure my live streams to make them a little bit more. I want to be a little bit more informative about things. I don't want to just do, a lot of these videos and live streams that you see has been done a million times. Filtration, it's going to be very hard to find something unique. But I'm going to figure something out. Man, those picked us fast. Hey, Laser. Well, I'm going to jump off here, guys. It's been an hour, 7 minutes. I certainly appreciate everybody that came in and hung out with me for a little bit. I always plan to do this about every Sunday around 3:30, unless I got something going on. I'm going to jump off for now and eat my dinner and let you guys get back to what you want to do. So thanks again for stopping by. Love the support. Good to see you in here, Silver, Red, Bunny, Bill. You guys are awesome. Shamu. That's all right, Shamu. It happens, man. You can catch the replay if you want. Flying foxes are awesome. Thanks, Laser. I will. Pizza is by far my number one favorite food. Then cheeseburgers, then tacos. All right, guys. Till next time, I'll have a different subject. Let me know in the comments when this thing gets. When you use StreamYard, it gets posted instantly, but you can't see any live chat to the YouTube channel. But let me know in the comments of fish that you guys would like me to talk about, or something you'd like to learn about, and I'll do anything that you guys are interested in. So, yep, I've kept a lot of fish over the years, and I got experience with them, and like I said, I'm always researching and learning. So, if there's a particular fish you want to know, but not that you can't just Google it and learn it yourself, but when you Google stuff, you got to take that stuff with a grain of salt. There's a lot of truth behind what you Google, but there's also a lot of bullshit. So anything you guys would be interested in me touching on, just let me know in the comments. But you guys have a good Sunday. Again, I appreciate your support hanging out with me, and I'll talk to you later. I'll see you on the shorts, and I'll see you on everybody else's lives.